Yo, what up? Welcome to Arctic View. I'm Josie, and this is my April and May reads. And I am very, very late. It is already Pride Month, so I'm wearing my little headband. But without further ado, let's just get into this. I have 7 books for you, and they are all quite good. So the first one I want to talk about is Horisontaalne ajalugu, which is horizontal history, and obviously it's all about sleeping and beds. It's by Brian Fagan and Nadia Durrani, and they are Brian is anthropologist and Nadia is archaeologist. And this book, it has it all. Let me give you already see I have marked some things that I want to come back to, but basically they tell you all about different ways our sleeping and our bed has played part throughout the history. There's obviously giving birth on a bed. It's bed as the last resting place before we are. Then Weird Bedfellows, which is about how quite recently people who don't know each other used to sleep in the same bed. So during medieval times or modern times when people were traveling, the cheap lodgings usually had like one big bed, and also families used to sleep together in a bed. So there's some about that. There's a really interesting chapter about moving beds. So if you are traveling, if you need to take your bed with you, how common folk did it, how Napoleon did it, stuff like that. There's some things about how a bed can be a place where you rule the country. So obviously different kings and queens have ruled their country from their bed. The bed was a very public place where everybody gathered around it to see how somebody went to sleep, how somebody woke up, and then how somebody conducted business from a bed, like Winston Churchill most famously. Also how bed throughout the ages became more private. It was not the most important room in the house anymore. It was hidden away, and you usually didn't write guests there anymore. And finally, what does the future bed look like? First of all, this looks like I don't think this cover does it any justice, because it seems like it's going to be like seedy or like corny, but corn, but it's so much better. I have to say, like, some parts were too scientific. So at one point they really went in on the archaeology part, for what, I don't know. And then some places I felt like it was like too, I wouldn't say like, maybe sensational. Some parts were too sensational, written in a way that the yellow media writes something. So I was like, maybe just dial it down a bit. Let's keep it not scientific, but like good for popular science. But this is such a good book. I have so many crazy like small details or tidbits that I can like throw into the conversation, because these things are wild. Like, I didn't know that the very cheap lodgings in Mongolia, for example, used to just have a place where you sit, and then there was a big rope, and people just like slept over it. And obviously that saves space. You don't have to make a bed and stuff like that. And that also people don't really sleep on their back or their side everywhere. So there's a part where they describe how people sleep, like sitting down or kneeling down, like really nice book. It's really a lot of fun. If you ever come around it, definitely check it out. Now, the second book I want to talk about is Dopamine Nation. It's by Dr. Anna Lemke, and it's part self-help, but part just talking about how dopamine plays part in today's society, today's life, and it doesn't talk about just addiction to drugs or to alcohol. It also talks about how you can get attached. You can get dependent on shopping or video games or sex or just consuming porn. And she is a great storyteller. She has a lot of like personal input as well. She used to be addicted, among other things, to like the really crappy romance novels, and she talks about it in a way that's not like, oh, you're trying to insert yourself here, but it's more like she can relate to you. The stories she picks here from her patients, oh, such great stories. And also the way how she describes how you can get addicted and what to do to get out really makes sense. At the end, I think she gives 10 steps how to acknowledge that you are addicted and then what to do with it. I think it's a great read. I know it's in Estonian as well, but definitely check it out if you can. The third book is by Lucy Moore, and it's In Search of Us, 12 Adventures in Anthropology. I would say this is not a book for everyone. I think you have to have some type of interest in archaeology, because it kind of assumes that you already know these people. Because I've come across most of them throughout my lectures, but I also always just knew their ideas, their theories about how societies are run, how nations come to be, stuff like that. But here you can really see the person behind it. It doesn't tell their biography, but it tells you what they were doing, what they were like when they were doing their field research, where it happened. It talks about their relationships. Apparently everybody is in a relationship with each other. Like, what is up with that? And also it has like the people that you would assume. So you have Franz Boas, you have who else? Radcliffe Brown, you have Bronislaw Malinowski, and Boas again, and Ruth Benedict. But I did not know about Zora Neale Hurston. That was a new one for me. So interesting, such a great lady. And also Audrey Richards. I enjoyed that I learned more about female anthropologists, and really interesting. I think if you already have prior knowledge, you will enjoy it. If you don't, you can still read it, but I think it would be hard to just place everybody, because in my opinion, it's really interesting to see like who's the person behind the theory. And I obviously enjoyed that. Now let's go to space, and this is a book by one of my favorite sci-fi writers. It's Ann Leckie, and this is another book by the, what is it, Imperial Raj series universe. I was not a fan of the last one, Provenance something, because I really didn't understand where it was taking place. It was kind of like messy in the beginning. This one, such a good one. It talks about how the Presker, so that's the kind of scary, evil race group of beings in the universe. It talks about how they make the Presker translators, and how do I even explain this? It's fascinating. If you know the series, if you hear Presker translators making, it should already give you a hint that it's going to be good. Ann Leckie is at her best form here. It's so interesting. It's three different, was it? Yeah, I think 3 different points of views, and it goes between those points of view so well. The characters are so likable. I feel like it has like difficult topics, but in the end, you are just enjoying it. You're there for the ride. I really love this universe. I really love this. I can't wait to read more about it. It's too hot. I just can't summarize it well enough for you. But love the space, love the characters, love how she's opening up more and more like little pockets of knowledge inside that universe. Good. Okay, and since it is Pride Month, let's get into some LGBT plus books. The first one is The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School by Sonora Reyes. What a crazy name for it. It sounds like corn video, but it is one of the best young adult books I read in years, because I think Alice Oseman also does it, that the characters are so complex and their relationships with between them and between their families especially is really complex, so you don't feel like it's just coasting on the surface level. It's so interesting. It feels very real. It feels like a real experience. It feels like a real family. It feels like real feelings that the teenagers feel. I really, really loved it. Basically, it talks about how two kids, a girl and a boy, they are sister and brother, start going to a Catholic school, which is like a private school, and how they survive there because both of them are gay. So it's a bit of a conundrum there. And it also tackles problems besides homophobia, like race and just how do they fit into American society so well. It's not preachy at all. It's subtle, but it also addresses that in a way that feels genuine and honest. I really love this. Like I said, it really feels like real people, real situations. I definitely recommend it if you have it, and it also looks gorgeous. Look at that. And they are very, very proud of their heritage, which is also great to read. Kind of had to throw this in here somewhere. So something that is not fiction. I need to cover this. Okay, so this is Fire Island, and it's by Jack Barlett. It's sorry. It talks about Fire Island, which is near the Manhattan Island, Staten Island, yes, question mark. And it's a place where throughout the years from the middle of 19th century, two communities, Cherry Grove and Pine Creek, start to turn into safe havens to spend your summer for LGBTQ plus people. Well, mostly just L and G. And it is told in not a historical way, but the author is, I think, English literature major, and he tells the story throughout different stories, memories that the artists that were there, that writers that were there, wrote down. So it's more of a, it's like a history of Fire Island, but it's also history of LGBT literature throughout the ages that was written there or was inspired by that, etc. It's very well written. I had to Google so many damn names. I don't know American literature that well, besides like the big ones. I didn't know the scene throughout 20th century in New York in that deep way. So I learned a lot. I don't know how much I will remember, but it's written with a lot of heart, and it gets really, I wouldn't say daunting, but it gets really, really real in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic, and you can feel how people were changing, the life was changing, how everything just kind of fades away. It was such a hard read, and I wasn't even a part of it. I think it really shows that Paulette is a very good storyteller, and yeah, it's not that thick, and it has like crazy amounts of fiction and non-fiction, and I don't know, movies and stuff like that that's inspired by Fire Island or written in Fire Island. So like if you like literature, American literature, if you like history, if you like LGBT history, definitely check this book out. I very much enjoyed reading it. And finally, oh my god, this video is so long. Finally, we have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schrefer. And it was said that it's going to be like classic enemies to lovers in space. I'm like, sign me up. It starts with Ambrose waking up in a spaceship. He doesn't know what happened. He knows he's supposed to be there. He knows his trip, but there's a door that he can't open, and behind that door is somebody else. And that somebody else is, what's his name? Kodiak. Now, turn this off if you don't want spoilers, but spoiler, are being cloned, and the trip they are taking is a lot longer than they thought they would be, and they have to battle kind of the AI that's driving the ship. I think it's well done, but I read Nomenon a couple of years ago, and Nomenon does the clone thing, like you need to clone people on the way to the very long, very far away place. Nomenon does it so well, it gets so crazy, it just explores all the different things that can go wrong, but do go wrong. So this wasn't like a really big surprise part for me, but I think it's a young adult book, so for a new reader, I think main idea works quite well. I'm just saying, if you have finished with this, then try Nomenon. So yes, I liked it enough, but I just felt like, oh, I've seen it done better. That's it. Let's see. These were the books I read during April and May. I think that's quite a nice variety. I hope you found something that could be interesting to you and added it to your to-read list. And if you want to chat about any of these books with me, go ahead. This is the end. It's 32 degrees outside. I am going to melt, so I'm going to stop this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do leave a like. And see you another time. Take care.